Hey, how are you today? This is Josh Patrick, and we're with Steve Brown, and you are at Cracking the Cash Flow Code. And I have a little bit of a confession to make here, is that I just hired Steve in this company to do some work for us, and I'm not sure it's going to make a big difference in the conversation we've been having because we've been having some great conversations. But I find him really talented and hope I get the work that I expect to get. I'm sure I will. But at any rate, Steve is the owner of ROI Online. He's a story brand consultant. In fact, I think he says he's the first story brand consultant that went with
Agency.
Don Miller.
The first agency certified. Yeah.
First agency. And we're going to talk about story brand. We're going to talk about marketing. We're going to talk about why you need to have the stuff for a sale ready company. And by the way, speaking of sale ready companies, that's probably going to be the next name for the podcast, since we start off with the sustainable business and cracking the cash flow code, and all that fits under a sale ready business. And you want a sale ready business, whether you're going to sell or not, because it makes your life a lot more fun and you'll make a lot more money. So let's bring Steve on. We'll start the conversation. Hey, Steve, how are you today?
I'm excellent. Thank you for having me. I'm proud to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you. We've been having some wonderful conversations. I was on your show earlier this week, and we had a great time there, and we'll have a great time today.
Absolutely.
Except today will be a lot shorter than what I was together. So let's start off and talk about why you see your website as a system and not as a website.
Yeah, that's the big trap. Oftentimes we make the mistake where we're addressing a problem, but we're not really addressing the big problem or the real problem. And so when we look at our website as just a website, that's something we have to tick off and get it handled and then go on to something else. We're missing out on a big opportunity to weave that into your overall business. So the mistake is to see it as a website and not as a part of a cohesive, comprehensive system of growing the value of your business. And then go ahead.
No, it's just go continue.
No, I love the sales ready or the sale ready business, and that when someone's about to buy your business, one of the things that's going through their mind is, how am I going to pay for it? And how nice would it be to show them, because they're going to go, all right, where do you get your customers? How nice would it be to show them an existing system that helps you see where you're going to identify potential new clients, how they come into your system, how do you nurture them, how do you bring them on board, how's your sales process? Wouldn't it be cool to have data from 2 or 3 years back and just showing you, here's how you're going to pay for it. I've already got the system in place. You just need to work the system.
The interesting thing, that's a really interesting thing you're just saying there, Steve, is that one of the 4 things about creating a sale-ready company or a sustainable business, depending on what you're trying to do, is that you have to have a recurring revenue stream.
Mm-hmm.
And a recurring revenue stream doesn't have to be you have signed contracts where everything is all set out January 1st. It could be a repeatable and predictable sales system.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, for most businesses, that's what they're going to have to do because they don't have a natural recurring revenue stream.
Mm-hmm.
They really have to go out and find customers, and especially, contractors and those sorts of businesses, or a retail store. Somebody walks in your store once, what's bringing them back again over and over and over again? There are some repeat customers, but you need to have a repeatable system of how you get someone to walk in your door or pick up the phone and call or sign a contract with you, even though if it's only one contract, and then get somebody to do another contract. That makes a lot of sense. Hey, Steve, you wrote a book.
Yeah.
And the book is called The Golden Toilet, which I think is kind of an interesting thing for a book to be titled.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you mean by a golden toilet?
Well, you think that the fear that we have as business owners that we're flushing money down the drain, or we don't want to waste money. But most people who go through this experience with their website do just that. They go through this long, tough process and end up maybe not feeling too good about whoever they picked to help them get it done, and only to realize after a little bit, I got to go through this thing again. And that's frustrating. And it's our default mindset. I need to redo my website. But what you're really feeling innately is I need to turn this into an asset that helps me grow my business. And whatever I invest in it, I have an expectation that it's going to help me move the needle in some way. And so, just like anything else, if you look at it as a system, and if we approach it with a framework, there's a way that you can have that achieve that expectation, which is totally proper and smart.
In that framework, I'm assuming you're talking about the story brand framework.
That's one of the things that goes into, when you think about certain systems, there are little aspects where frameworks fill into another framework. So clear messaging is the number one thing, your biggest lever that you can lean on. In the story brand framework, if you're not familiar with it, there's a great book by Donna Miller called Building a Story Brand that talks about the 7 pieces of a framework that help your messaging honor the rules of story, which our brains really appreciate. And so if you can get your messaging clear and succinct, one of the biggest challenges we face is cutting through noise and getting people's attention, but also earning their focus. And that's one of the ways that you can earn focus.
So here's what I notice on most websites, and I think you'll probably agree with me. There are too many darn words on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know why?
So why is that?
Well, so there's this snake oil out there that we're trying to trick the search engines into showing our ugly ass website to people, because why? It means we'll get business, but it's not true. And so when you try to stuff a bunch of words, you're designing for robots. Robots don't buy your stuff. They don't. You need to be designing for humans, and our brains desire clear, succinct, easy to understand, where do I go next messaging. And it's more than just words.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's harder to write 200 words that are impactful than 2,000 words that might be impactful, but no one's going to read.
Not even your mom. Mm-hmm.
And I've been accused of being very wordy in my life more than once or twice.
Me too.
And I can tell you that every time I cut it down and cut it down and cut it down and cut it down,
Mm-hmm.
we get better results.
But if you think about the people you admire, they're great communicators, but what do? They start with a story. Remember that
Yes.
time you read this and you really loved it? Well, let's look at it here. And then you go, oh, of course. Why didn't I see that? But that's not how we work.
Let me ask you a question, because this has just popped into my head, and it happens occasionally. Something pops into my head.
Really?
Yeah, it does. I
Me
know it's
too.
hard to believe. Now, I get we want to have stories,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't want to make ourselves the hero of the story. We want to make our customers the hero of the story.
Totally.
And we want to be the guide. We want to guide our customer to be the hero and get really cool solutions to whatever it is that we do. Even if it's just we're bricklayers,
Mm-hmm.
we can have cool solutions for being bricklayers. I've been on this kick recently about vulnerability.
Mm.
And my belief is that the more vulnerable I make myself, the more believable and the more relatable I am. Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely. No, I just happen to have this here. This wasn't planned, but I'm going to show it in my camera here. But if you look at the arc of a story, I got this off of a website. It's not mine, but we see Woody,
Yeah.
and so here he's in his world as normal, then realizes things have to change, and then oh my gosh, I think I can do it. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. And then down here in the pit, that's where he's like really at his lowest. When we talk about being vulnerable, well, this is where the people that are choosing our solutions are going to go through the story arc. But if you can relate with them when they're in this area, they trust you because, oh, you've been there before me. And I feel like you understand me. And then the trust barriers go way down. And now I'm talking to a brother, or I'm talking to a compadre. You've been there.
Yes. And I found that out. I've always done this thing where I do a short background of who I am and where I came from. I do public
Hmm.
speaking. And last time I did it wasn't last time. It was about last year, about this time actually. I decided to go into this long 10-minute conversation with all the terrible things I did when I was a 30-year-old business person, 28-year-old, 32-year-old business person. And after I was done, because I was vulnerable and honest and whatever, I had a bunch of people come up to me and said, normally when I listen to these presentations, I don't think I can do it.
Yeah.
But because of the way you started off your conversation today, I felt because you came from there, I'm sure I can do the same thing myself.
Hmm. Isn't that cool?
And it was really an epiphany for me. And it's something I'm going to encourage people to do is talk about the foibles you have, the foibles of your company, the problems your company has had getting to where they are today. And when you're building this story about why you're a great company, you have to talk about the struggle along the way.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm an Apple fanboy,
Hmm.
Apple computer
Me
fanboy,
too.
Apple, I guess it's Apple Inc. fanboy. And without the origin story of Apple being in the darkest depths of despair to Steve Jobs coming back and acting like a human being, not a complete idiot,
Hmm.
Apple wouldn't be the company it is today.
Hmm.
And part of the story with Apple, which makes it so attractive to the people who use Apple products, is how they came out of that depths of despair into being, I would argue, the best company in the United States today.
Hmm. Yeah. We know the origin story, which is one of the things great brands do well, is they help you know their origin story. There's a book called Primal Branding I recommend by Patrick Hanlon, and it's called The Primal Code. And one of the pieces of the Primal Code is the origin story. And so to know who started the business and where they came from, and then all the other things about it is really important for you to be able to relate with them. And if you relate, you're over a lot of hurdles.
Yeah. So if you talk about your challenges, I guess that's kind of an important thing for you to do.
Hmm. It makes you human.
So yes. So tell me about the competitive advantage of clear messaging and why most companies blow it.
Well, remember the last time you went to the fair or to whatever, where those movies always have those scenes where there's all these balloons and rides and noises and distractions and stuff, and you're walking down the midway and you're just being bombarded with all these sensory in your ear and your smells and the touch and your eyes and everything. Well, that's your brain from the minute you wake up. And so having clear messaging is like that corn dog sign over there. And when you go and you order it and you focus on that, then all that stuff goes away. And you remember when you put the mustard on that corn dog and you're about to take a bite, there's nothing else going on around you until you have that first bite. That's that's the competitive advantage of clear messaging, because you're trying to earn a few more seconds of that person's attention. Now, attention would be like, hey, look over here. But focus is when I get you to shut down all the other sensory, then just start ignoring those. And then your brain is going, hey, it's safe for you to invest a little more time. And because I think you got something here that's connecting with you or relating with you. We have this part of the brain, I call it the bodyguard. That's a brain stem where there's no language processing. So it doesn't matter what the text is, it doesn't matter what you're saying. It doesn't understand it, but there's a feeling, an emotional thing that bodyguard is going, you're safe here, Josh. You can hang out here a little longer. I'll look for any distractions or any dangers, but go ahead and spend a little more time here. That's what clear messaging does. It's that immediate emotional connection that helps your brain relax, makes your bodyguard say it's okay, and then you've just done a miracle, because we're just being bombarded all day long about things demanding our attention: kids, wives, husbands, TV, whatever it is.
Yeah. Facts.
Truths. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. It's really interesting. Like we were just talking about that was thought ran through my mind is that we buy based on feelings and justify with facts.
Totally, totally.
And we forget that all the time.
Hmm.
And
There's
when we're buying on feelings, what are feelings? Are stories.
totally. And so the feelings, when you get your story going, then you're getting to go the fiber optic way into that person's brain. But if you're trying to do it with all that text on the website or long boring story, you're trying. It's like a modem, one of those old modems that makes a like the AOL sound.
Yeah.
And it's just going to take long to process, and you're going to lose them because the energy goes out of them. There's a book, another book, Marketing to Mind States by Will Leach, and it talks about the emotional stuff. But that's the practical guide to applying behavior design to research and marketing. Well, he talks about the system one's part of the brain is that emotional and how to design your marketing to communicate better to that part of our brains.
Yeah, that makes tons of sense. I see a lot of times that people, um, they talk about themselves and they don't talk about their customers.
Hmm.
And frankly, anytime I've ever bought anything, I really don't care about you. I mean, I like you, you're a nice person and all that kind of good stuff. But what I'm really interested in is what am I going to get and what's the benefit for me to do business with you? And
Hmm.
Steve, I'm not talking about you personally, I'm talking about
Hmm.
you in generic terms.
Right.
I want to switch for a second here. We would deal with blue collar businesses a lot here. This is really what we're
Hmm.
really trying to work for. When I talk about a sale ready business, I really focus in on a blue collar business because they tend, believe it or not, they actually are more saleable than professional service businesses.
Hmm.
Um, and I often talk to them. I said, you have to, and the big challenge for most blue collar businesses is repeat, this recurring sales thing. And I keep talking to them about that and about the fact that, gee, you need to have an online presence. You need to be doing things to make your phone ring.
Hmm.
And can you go into a little bit about, why a blue collar business, say a construction company or a plumbing company or an electrical contractor or a distribution company, even, somebody does distributes tires. Why do they need an online presence when their clients are calling them on the phone or still sending faxes in, believe it or not?
So think about the deliberate thinking and when you set up that business, you made it clear where you're supposed to park before you come in, your hours, where to come in, your reception desk, the transaction. Those are in our physical world. They're obvious, and we get that naturally. And we do get referral business, and we do have people that call us and come in on the fax machine. But in the meantime, all of your customers are being trained by big brands to expect that they can evaluate from a distance of safety online what to consider as a potential option that's coming up. So they're doing their research and they're having these great user experiences with these big brands. So when they show up on your virtual platform, your online platform, they expect that same experience. And it's a huge competitive advantage. And it's something that's totally realistic. And it's totally realistic in this virtual world for even a tire shop or a service business whatsoever like that, especially. That's a great way to get around your competitors because they're dealing with the same challenges and having to confront the same oh resistance to adopting it as you're going through.
Makes sense to me. So, you talk about designing for humans and not robots.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So everyone has been brainwashed by the guys that call you every day and they tell you they can get you at the top of the search and they don't know anything about your business. And that's called SEO, search engine optimization. And as I was referring to a little earlier, that's trying to scam or trick the search algorithms. And it's just a big waste of time when you should be doing HEO, human experience optimization. All we desire is an honest, useful, helpful way to relate with you, to interact with you, to investigate, explore, or whatever the services that you have. We just need an easy way to do it. So if you go online, it's immediately clear where to go next. Here I can click and download something, or if I'm ready to talk, what number do I call, or what form do I fill out, or where are you? That, that's human experience optimization. We always get really frustrated when we're kind of excited about something and then we start to interact with them and it's really frustrating, or there's just a lot of, just stupid taxes, I call them, that are going on. Okay. We hate paying those taxes, but there's these invisible taxes that I call them stupid taxes that we could eliminate in the experience, but it can make it easy. And all we want to do is just do like our grandparents did. You come into the shop, you say hello, they know your name, you get a fair deal, and you leave. And that's all we desire online. Why is it so hard to provide that?
I don't know. So one more, we have time for one more short little conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And you talk about strategic campaigns.
Yes.
What is a strategic campaign?
So we've all been trained to think that for a business, we're supposed to have a Facebook page or a LinkedIn, or we're supposed to maybe write a blog, or I think I'm supposed to do a video, but where do I start? Do I take a picture of my dog and just say, hey, here's, right? And post it on there. Look, we're dog friendly. That's not going to do anything. A like's not going to do anything. A follower's not going to do anything. But if we think about the whole reason we're doing any of this is to create a contact record. You go to a trade show, what do you want? You want a business card. So the virtual version of that is a contact record. So if you have a place on your website where I can come and look around and go, hey, I like that, I'm okay with putting my name and an email address in there. Well, generally that happens on what's called a landing page. So that means we'll do that to watch a video, download maybe a case study, or something that's interesting to us that would help us along our investigation process. Now, if we have one of those, and let's say it's for what's one of your tire shop, okay, like the best tires to consider for your first replacement set, okay. Well, then now we know if we have a Facebook page or a LinkedIn page or an Instagram page, that post would promote that lead generating offer on our landing page. Well, there's a strategy behind that. It means we had to sit down and go, all right, I want contact records. Most of my people are interested in, buying that first set of tires after they wore them out on that new car. So here's how to evaluate it, get the best deal. Now we would run some ads, but we're going to tell the person that's running the ads, when they click on it, I want it to go to this page. Why? Because it's a nice little way to identify and get a contact record. Then we would follow up on them with some emails and offer them some other things, or say, come on in and we'll do a test drive. And also, even if you don't buy a set of tires, we'll rotate and balance your tires. Whatever that may be, now we're talking strategy. Now we're thinking long game. Now we're talking evergreen. We're talking a repeatable system. And that's when I say, if you just have a website just to satisfy, I need an interactive brochure, you're missing out on opportunities to create relationships above and beyond your typical referrals, your typical walk-ins, your typical calls. And now you're competing, and now you're going around your competitors.
Great. Hey, Steve, unfortunately, we are out of time.
Well, I'm having fun. I'm just getting warmed up.
Yeah, I know. It's, this is what I call the commute podcast. It's the average time for a commute in the United States one way. So I have this thing about podcasts going for hours and hours and hours because I never finish them. So
yeah. Well, this has been fun.
Someone's gonna find you. How would they go about doing so? And is there something you want them to do when they do find you?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. So I have my book, of course, and it's the Golden Toilet: Stop Flushing Your Marketing Budget into Your Website and Build a System that Grows Your Business. Now that will convince you why you need to build a system. It'll help you really get clear on the four important things. Now, if you want us to help you with it, you would go to roionline.com and you would schedule a time. You and I will chat, and we'll decide whether that's the best fit. Or you can sign up to our new offering. It's called the Quick Start Academy, and we'll teach you or your marketing director how to do it. You'll sit with a team of experts. We'll evaluate your stuff. We'll walk you through it, but you get to do the work.
And by the way, you do want to buy the book. I just recently read it, and it's going to be on my top 20 list for this year of business
Yes.
books that you have to read. And I also have an offer for you. I have an ebook I've written about the Sale Ready Company. There are 8 steps to creating a Sale Ready company. You're going to want to know what those 8 steps are, and you're going to want to get this free ebook. It's really easy to get.
Mm-hmm.
You go to www.sustainablebusiness.co, and no, that is not a typo. It is .co/sale ready. So it's www.sustainablebusiness.co/sale ready. This is Josh Patrick. We're with Steve Brown, where you're at cracking the cash flow code. Thanks a lot for stopping by. I hope to see you back here really soon.
Me too.